Hey, good evening, everybody. Who is excited about a Lions win? Let's hear it. I see lots of Lions gear on. Yes, that was a great finish, way better than last week. Well, we are so glad. What? Well, okay. You're kind of right about that. So, anyway, welcome to Kensington. We're so glad you're here with us on this beautiful fall evening. My name is Becky. I'm part of our campus team, and whether you are visiting for the first time tonight or you've been coming for years, we're just so glad you chose to be with us. We're one church in many locations, and our mission statement is to see everyone transformed and mobilized by Jesus. If you are visiting for the first time, or maybe you've been coming for a while and you haven't plugged in yet, we would love to meet you right out in the lobby at our starting point area. The team in the bright orange t-shirts would love to answer any questions you have, as well as give you a free gift just for being here with us tonight. So we're going to journey together over this next hour, and it's our hope that you guys are going to meet God here tonight. And this is week 4 of our Sunday night service. I hope you guys are loving it as much as we are. I love the energy out in the lobby. I actually talked to 2 different people tonight who were here this morning and said, I've got to bring somebody back tonight. So we hope that you guys are going to continue to do that, invite people to come back with you here on Sunday night. All right, so who did the cider mill this weekend? My social media feed was like flooded, people doing cider mills, tailgating. I love all things fall. And one of the things that we love the most here at Kensington is we have fall retreats. We have something really for everyone, from 4th and 5th graders through middle school and high school to our young adult 1829 ministry is having their first retreat this fall in November, to men of all ages. So I just want to highlight one of those retreats today. It's happening at the end of the month. It's called our Wild Retreat. It's for middle school and high school students. It's in Spring Hill Camps up in Everett, Michigan, which is truly one of my favorite places on the planet. So it's one amazing weekend with 2 epic adventures, one crafted for middle schoolers, one crafted for high schoolers. Students from all of our campuses are going to be there. It is just an opportunity to just get away from the pressures of life, homework, screens, siblings, whatever, and really be in a place where you can encounter God. And we hope that students get the opportunity to live life a little bit in circles, as we talked about in our last series, because they're going to be with a great leader. They're going to meet other students. In fact, I was talking to one of our interns, Lindsay, and I said, what do high school students need to know to get to the retreat? And she said, tell them they are going to leave with a best friend. So if you are a middle school student and you're in here right now, we want to invite you, go try out our middle school program Breakaway, happening right over there. If you want to go, I'll be in the back. You can meet me. And then if you're a high school student, you're going to be meeting immediately after the service at 7:30. Our team, if you haven't met them yet, would love to show you around and tell you how you can get plugged into the retreat. All right, so one retreat is happening next weekend, and it is for guys only. And I thought rather than me telling you about it, it might be more fun to hear from some guys. So watch this.
Man Up 2017, October 6th through 8th, it's back. We're going to be at Spring Hill Camps with zip lines, tournaments, Man Up-a-thon, and incredible speakers like Dave Wilson, Patrick Holden, Cliff Johnson, and an interview with Ramesh and Steve Andrews. We're talking about the 4 stages of manhood. Well, the first stage is the cowboy stage, where we're talking. The second stage is the warrior stage, where we're going to be. The third stage is the king stage. And the last stage we're talking about is the sage stage, where we're gonna. It's gonna be incredible. Invite your friends.
What are you doing, boy?
I'm doing a Man Up promo.
Oh, that's cute. You're not doing a good job, though. It's okay. You're not macho enough to do Man Up.
Hey, I got my camo on. I'm ready to go.
Playing dress up. Go ahead. Run along, son. I got this. Listen, man. This is gonna be the best Man Up you ever had because it's gonna be macho. How macho? Hey, 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 hey. That's right. It's going to be that macho. Listen, we got all kinds of fun stuff. We got bare-chested wrestling. We got porcupine tossing and tons of Vaseline. You're going to want to bring all your friends and neighbors. Sign up. Macho man, yeah. I've got to be a macho man. Macho man.
I don't know what porcupine tosses or tons of Vaseline even means, but it will be a blast. Am I right, guys? Guys have been there before. It's hilarious like that. It's fun. but it's also a powerful weekend, and you got to sign up. Here's what happens. It's next Friday, Saturday, come back Sunday, and most of the guys will sign up this week. So sign up this week. We'll get as many sign-ups this week as we have already up to date. There's still room for you, not a lot of room, so you want to sign up. And trust me, there's a marathon competition, and Orion is winning. Am I right? Orion is winning, and if you can help us, we need you to be there to help us bring home the cup, the Marathon Cup. It's awesome. It's the most epic thing you've ever seen, and maybe as good as the Super Bowl, which the Lions might win this year, huh? You never know. Anyway, so seriously, guys, sign up. It's going to be a life-changing weekend, and some of you guys, like, I don't know a guy here. Great. Come. You will know some guys. By the end of the weekend, you'll have a band of brothers to do life with, and I guarantee you that is what happens there that weekend. Another thing I want to just tell you real quick about that's coming up in October 20th, which we're in October now, so it's on a Friday night. A buddy of mine named Michael Jr., he's a comedian. Some of you might know him. He's been in a couple movies. He's just been on Late Night and some different shows. He's really, really funny. I got to know him on this marriage cruise that Ann and I have spoken on the last four years in February. He's been on 2 of those. Everywhere he goes on the boat, he's sold out, standing room only. He's just hilarious, got an unbelievable testimony, and he's going to be here on a Friday night just for fun. He's just going to do comedy. He was doing a gig in Troy, and I texted him and said, "You're going to be in Troy. You want to do our church?" He said, "Yes." So he's going to do it for you to bring a neighbor, bring a friend, and just come enjoy life and laugh. And here's a little bit of the humor of Michael Jr.
Have you ever made eye contact with somebody for a little longer than you wanted to? You didn't do it on purpose. It just kind of happened. Now you got to fix things. You don't want them thinking that you thinking something you ain't thinking. So now you got to do something to rectify the situation. The truth is, you don't got to do anything at all. It naturally happens. You make the lizard look face. Let me give you an example. You're walking along, you make eye contact. Everybody does it. I don't care what nationality you are, we all do it. You can't even not do it. I dare you, when you leave here, try to make eye contact with somebody for more than 3 seconds that you don't know. You're gonna be struggling, you're like,
So I'll tell you what, you can get the tickets on our app. And again, here's what I would really encourage you to do. Don't just get a ticket for you. Invite somebody. Somebody maybe you've been trying to get to come to church and they've said no because they want to go to church. Bring them to this. This is in our church. It's just not church. And they may enjoy the experience and then want to come back. And trust me, he's funny. And I'll say this. I've watched him work. Don't sit near the front. Half his comedy is just picking on guys like wearing lion shirts. It's hilarious. Good stuff. Anyway, so all right. So we're in the second week of Leave a Mark. This one's Leave a Mark on your church. I'm going to talk about it in a second. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to stand up and give somebody a high five and congratulate them on believing that the Lions would win today. But here's what I want to say. Here's what I want to say. 12:15 today, I invited people to come up and sit near me. So if you want to move on up, come on up. All right, so as I mentioned, you probably already know this, but today's called Leave a Mark on Your Church. And it's actually a better title would be Leave a Mark Through Your Church. And just as I get into this whole thing about what is a church and what's Leave a Mark mean, let me say this, because I bet a lot of you don't even realize this. Kensington, this church, has planted, one of our dreams is to launch churches out of Kensington, not just campuses. We have 8 campuses, which means we have 8 other locations doing the exact same thing we're doing. Although none of them are doing it on Sunday night but us, so that's pretty cool. But they're doing the exact same service, exact same weekend as we do. But a church plant is somebody launched out of here or somebody we partner with either financially or sending people that does church different than we actually do it. I don't think you understand this. We are, at the end of this year, we will launch our 58th church plant. That's absolutely incredible. This morning, Dave Kubiak out of our Clinton Township campus launched Antioch church over on the east side. They had almost 300 people there at their first service, which is just, that's 3 times the size of the average church in America, just on their first Sunday. I mean, we have Clinton Michael Dupin in San Francisco. We've got the Detroit church, Sonny Smith downtown. We've got the Hartfield's going from our Troy campus to launch a church in Boston. We got Terry Prisch's son launching a church in Grand Blanc. Maybe somebody drove down from Flint or Grand Blanc tonight. I can tell you there's a church just as good, a lot closer to you. But that's just locally or in the U.S. And then we also launch churches around the world. I don't know if you know this, but we have been a part of 5,182 churches around the world. That's just epic. How about this? In Kenya, we've been a part of 250 churches. India, 450. Afghanistan, 750 house churches. Nepal, 600 house churches. South Sudan, 12 house churches. Egypt, 1,500 house churches. Cuba, 1,600 house churches. Brazil, 12. Israel, 8. Is that unbelievable? That's unbelievable. And we don't even realize, oh my gosh, that's just out of this place, because it's easy to think that this, what you're sitting in right now, is Kensington Church. And it's just a small part of the church. But leave a mark on the church means this. And I want to ask you a question. If somebody asks you, and I'm going to do that right now, what is the purpose of God's church? What would you say? And by the way, I'm going to use that word church a lot tonight. The word church doesn't mean brick and mortar building. The word church means what? People. It's the people of God. It's the community of God. You can have a church anywhere. It doesn't have to be in a building. You know, you got the people in the church and you got all the people. Remember that thing? That's the church. I don't know how it goes, but you know what it means. It's all about the people. Any community of people that are following God and want to be on mission for God is a church. And so when I talk about God leaving a mark on a church, it isn't on a brick and mortar building. It's on a group of people and what he wants to do through those people to impact the world. Now, if somebody would ask me, and I said this last week, if somebody would ask me growing up what I thought the purpose of the church was, you know, I had to go with my mom. I told you that every week. Single mom. She said, you live under my roof, you obey my rules, and my rules are going to church every Sunday. So I was dragged to church every Sunday. Anybody dragged here tonight? We see the heel marks in the lobby? Gotcha. That was me. Had no option, had to go. And here's what I sort of picked up at church. And I mentioned this last week. Even by, my senior year in high school, it was like the church is the place for really, really good people who are much better people than me. And it's sort of a club for members only, and those doors are shut to anybody that's not in the club. In fact, we said at the church we wanted sinners and other people to come in, but we really didn't want them there. We wanted clean, sanitized, good people in the church, and everybody else can just stay far away. We say we want you here, we really don't. The purpose of the church is to take care of the good people of God. Now, I realized over time that I wasn't the only one that thought that. A lot of people tend to think that must be the purpose of the church because that's all we sort of see. So let me ask you this. What do you think God's purpose for the people of God, for the church is? And as you're thinking about what that answer might be, we actually created a video years ago. We call it a Kensington Classic now because it's been in the archives for a while. But it was a sort of humorous look at what many people think, even church people, think the purpose of the church is. And so we want you to enjoy this.
Excuse me.
Tammy.
Tammy, yeah. I think there's something wrong with these files. There's no diagnostic codes.
What do you mean?
No diagnostic codes.
Oh.
This one is totally blank, and this one here, sleepy, and this one says, happy to be here.
Yeah, on that blank one, we weren't sure what to put, and I figured since it was your first day, it'd be fun for you to figure that out.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, Dr. Miller. You have a great day now.
You too.
Oh, and coffee's fresh in the lounge. Help yourself.
3-point shot. Scores! Yes! Hello, I'm Dr. Miller.
Hi, Dr. Miller.
Yes.
Oh, it's so nice to finally meet you.
Likewise.
I'm Sarah Edwards, and this is my husband, Jim, our son, Alex, and our daughter, Jenna.
Great.
Jim.
What?
Happy Woo.
Sorry, welcome, Doctor. Chicken?
So, which one of you is the patient?
Oh, Well, this is our hospital. I mean, we've been coming here every week.
I don't even know what that means.
Well, we've been coming here for 16 years.
Okay, so let me get this straight. No one in this room is sick.
No. Well, except Alex did have a little bit of a cold last week. Oh, but he's all better now. Just a little bit of a sniffle.
All right. Well, looks like you guys are enjoying the game, so I'll be on my way.
High score. You want to watch?
No, thank you. But I'll be on my way. Nice meeting you.
Oh, wait, Dr. Miller?
Yeah.
Now I have noticed that they're still doing construction in the West Wing. Now, if they haven't picked the color tile yet, I really think that they should go with, a sea green.
I'll check on that for you.
Thank you. It's nice to meet you.
Dr. Jameson, please report to the OR for presentation. Dr. And the winner is Steve Oncology.
Hi, Mr. Schaefer. Hi, I'm Dr. Miller.
Oh, are you the new doctor?
Yes, I am.
Well, that's good. Now that we have some new blood around here, maybe we can do something about the parking lot.
I'm sorry?
It needs to be completely torn out and repaved. How are our regulars supposed to get safely to their cars?
Hi, Doctor.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Sure?
I'm
Are you-
Donna.
Yeah?
And this is my husband, Paul.
Are you in any pain?
No, I'm not in any pain at all.
Oh, okay.
We just,
Yeah, well, your chart says come and see me, so.
we just want to be here for your first day.
Oh, I understand.
I don't understand why we can't take care of a simple need like a parking lot. I mean, I've been here for 29 years and nobody listens to me. It's like I'm invisible.
I'm sorry.
You two, thanks for hurrying. I need to see someone right away.
What seems to be the problem?
I have a bolt in my face.
I'm sorry, we're completely full.
Well, what about all the beds?
Oh, those are reserved for our established donors. Well, hello, Mr. Parsons. Welcome back.
Beautiful day outside.
It sure is. Well, we've got your suite ready with clean linens and fresh popcorn.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Sure.
Look, I don't care if I have to be seen in the parking lot. I need to see somebody.
I understand, sir. But our doctors are very busy.
I have a bolt in my face.
Please be seated.
Excuse me. Why are these people not being seen?
I'm sorry?
These patients, why are they not being seen?
Dr. Miller, we pride ourselves on making this a hospital that's a comfortable home for our members.
I'm sorry, we have members?
Yes. And all these people want to come in here with their complications. We just can't have that.
I just want to make this clear. Okay, so I work for a hospital that rejects sick people.
Well, doctor, that's a little harsh. You work for a hospital that embraces the healthy.
I don't believe this. I don't believe this.
All right, you get the point? I think you get the point. In fact, you didn't know this, and this hasn't happened all day, but it happened tonight. I saw Dr. Miller walk in here tonight. He's over there somewhere, Dr. Miller. Hey, Mike, did you write that script? You didn't? Where are you? Oh, there you are. I was looking right there. Who wrote it? Ryan McCullough wrote that script. Mike was one of the famous actors in it, and you know many of the others, but it does make a great point, doesn't it? That was the church I grew up in right there. And maybe you did as well. I mean, I've watched it now 4 times, and I tell you, watching it tonight hit me in a whole new, fresh way. That is really sick. To think that the church would have people coming in that are scarred and beat up and bruised and dirty and scummy and sinners, and we would say, yeah, this is a place that embraces just the healthy. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. How can it be that a church could do that? And the church has done that. So what is the purpose of the church? I got to tell you, this is so important for me that you and I understand this. I should be getting on a plane right now, flying back from a Lions victory in Minnesota. And I told Jim Caldwell and the team, I can't go this weekend. I have to be at my church to preach this message. It's that important that we understand God's purpose for the community of God and what he's tried to do here in us, and I think just as importantly through us, for not only the last 27 years, but hopefully the next 27, that you and I be on mission with the real purpose of the church, which you are a part of and I am a part of. So let me pray. Father God, I pray you'd speak. I pray that you would teach your heart and your mission for us as your church. In Jesus' name, amen. You know, last week I mentioned a guy named Luke. He's written a book in the New Testament called Luke. How about that for a name? Based on his name. He was a doctor. He's very detail-oriented. He's chronological in his journals of Jesus' life. It's the 3rd book in the New Testament. You got Matthew, Mark, you got Luke, and then John. In fact, if you don't know a lot about Jesus, you want to learn something, go read the book of Luke. Even this week, read it. You can read the whole thing in probably a week, and you just start to learn about the life of Christ. And so you discover very early, when people start to ask Jesus, why are you here? What is your purpose? You find out really clearly and really accurately through Luke's writings what Jesus' purpose was. In fact, I read this last week, Luke 5, he's sitting, and the Pharisees, the religious people, the church leaders, they say what? They say, the Pharisees and teachers of the law who belong to their sect complained to his disciples, why do you eat and drink with tax collectors and sinners? Now look at this. You want to know the purpose of the church? Here it is. Jesus answered them, it is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. It's amazing to me that you can read a verse like that, and Ryan McCullough wrote a whole drama script based on that one verse. That's why that was written, to poke humor at something that's really a serious deal. It's like Jesus said, I didn't come just for the healthy people, although does he love healthy people? Of course. Does he love church people? Of course he does. But he said, I actually came for those that the church has shut the doors to, the sick, who need me, who need a doctor, and I am that doctor. That's why I came. You fast forward a little later in the book of Luke, chapter 19, we have this. Jesus himself is speaking, for the Son of Man came to seek and save those who are lost. Not found, lost. And he's referring to himself in the title Son of Man. It's a title of divinity. He's saying, I am God. I am God in flesh. And just so you understand, I came to find those people who right now are lost. What's that mean? People are searching for the truth. People are searching for an answer. They're out there right now in your neighborhoods. We talked about that last week, and in your workplaces. They're looking for God. They're looking for an answer. They may not even know what they're looking for, but they are lost. And Jesus said, I came for them, to seek and save them. How? Through my death on the cross. He said, that is the purpose of my life. Therefore, guess what? That is the purpose of the church. Right? He said that's what the church should be about. Those doors, as I said last week, should be kicked wide open for the sick and the lost and the broken to be as welcome in here as anybody else that's healthy. Am I right? That's what Jesus said. He said that's the reason I created the church. It's a hospital for sick people, not just well people. Both can be there. And by the way, he actually says, I didn't even say this all day, he actually says, those of you that are well become doctors, to be my ministers to those that walk in here looking because they're lost to find Jesus, and we get to be the ones that give him away. Now, many of you know this, and I don't want to review it too much, and Becky even said it in the greeting tonight, but let me ask you, if there's somebody here that's courageous enough to stand up and say out loud our 8-word mission statement for Kensington. I taught it last week. Becky mentioned it. I mean, you don't get to look at notes. I'm not going to put it up there. You have to do it from memory, and you can't miss any of them. And if you do it right, I'll give you M&Ms, peanut M&Ms, or a Kit Kat. Go. All right, baby, you nailed it. Which one do you want? The M&Ms? All day, nobody's taking the Kit Kat. Anybody want a Kit Kat? You get a Kit Kat just for being up there. Hey, dude, way to go. Way to go. That right there is a whole incredible life story change right there. It really is. But yeah, did you hear what he said? And again, we're not saying this is every church's mission statement. We're not even saying we're a better church than any other church. There are great churches doing all kinds of great stuff. We believe this is God's mission for Kensington Church. You hear me? This is just us. And again, we're not saying we even do it perfectly, but we know that God has called us for the last 27 years to be a church of what we just heard, to see every, parentheses, one, that means the lost one, as well as the healthy everyone, transformed and mobilized. How? By Jesus. I mean, their life is absolutely turned upside down. They used to be dead, now they're alive. And they know why they're here. That's the mobilized calling part. That, we believe, is what we are called to do as Kensington Church. Now, here's what we decided years ago. We decided, okay, if we're going to focus on the one who's far from God, how are we going to reach him? And by the way, one other thing I mentioned last week, and I'll make sure you understand this. I said we even took our logo, and we recently changed it in the last 18 months to a logo that visually you would see the one. You remember that? There it is. So every time you see our K now on our building, on our app, everywhere, it has this arrow toward the number 1. Why? Well, I told you last week, I hope you look at it the same way I look at it. When I look at that 1, here's what I think. First of all, I think the one. That arrow means we are chasing after Jesus. He is the one. There is no other one. He is the God of all creation. There's no other name but Jesus, okay? So when I see that 1, I think, oh my gosh, if I am chasing like that arrow, Jesus, and falling in love with Jesus, as I get near him and understand his heart, I get his heart, which is what? For the one. For the one who's lost, for the one who's sick, for the one who's trying to find an answer. So every time I keep my eyes on Jesus, as I follow him, I realize he's always going to send me after what he's about. The one, you get it? So every time you see that 1, I hope that's what you're thinking. Follow Jesus, pursue Jesus, chase after Jesus. And as you do, he'll say, go to your neighbor. Go to the guy in the other cubicle down the street. Go across the room to that person in the classroom. They're the one. They're looking for answers. You got the answer. Go, 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 go. As you follow my heart, you'll do my heart, right? You get it? So that's what we do. So here's what we did at Kensington. We said, okay, if we're going to reach the one, what's the best way to do it? Here's what we decided. Weekend service. Let's use the weekend service. I know a lot of you know this, but some of you are brand new tonight, maybe never been here. This is a great night to be here because you're going to learn our whole mission in your first visit. Here's the deal. We said if people are going to come try to find God, they're going to come to a weekend service probably. Now, that doesn't always happen. There'll be guys that man up next weekend, never been to Kensington their whole life. It's awesome. They've never been to Kensington. They think Kensington's like man up. They're going to find out we're not that wild, but they're going to be there and they're going to show up. Why? Because they're looking for God. And here's the thing. What we try to do on a weekend, we're going to do it man up too. Because the weekend service for any church is critical. You know why? Because people decide what they think about your church based on the weekend service. Am I right? That's how they develop their opinion. It's just one small part of a church, but it's the public part that everybody says, I know everything about Kensington by the weekend. I was talking to my daughter-in-law Thursday night. My son CJ and his wife Robin, we were out to dinner, Ann and I with them, and she said, yeah, I was at Lifetime this week, and I overheard a conversation about Kensington. I'm like, what are we talking about? She didn't know what I was preaching on this weekend. It's perfect. She goes, well, these 2 ladies were getting ready in the locker room, and one lady said to the other one, hey, I'm going to go check out a church. I want to go to a church. I'm going to try that church, Kensington. And Robin's like, this ought to be interesting. And the other lady says, oh, I went there. Don't go. You don't want to go there. And she goes, why not? She goes, well, the first time I went there, the whole service was on human trafficking and how they wanted to be a part of stopping and saving girls that are being trafficked in Nepal. And then the next time I went, it was all about they want to impact the world globally out of their church. You don't want to go there. It's a waste of time. And when I heard that, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. I mean, what church wouldn't you? I mean, every church I went to was always inside. It's all about me. It's all about me. So she came. I know when she came, right? You guys know she came last year when Ann came back from Nepal, and we showed the video of how we're rescuing girls from Nepal. And Ramesh was just there. We're going to talk about that at Man Up. Saving girls out of sex slavery there. It's unbelievable that we get to be a part of that. And she probably came on a weekend where he said, God is doing so much globally, and he wants us to be a part of it. And she thought that's a bad thing. And I'm thinking, I would go to that church. But anyway, she didn't think it was good. Here's what I'm trying to say. She decided what she thinks of Kensington based on what? Weekend service. There's so much more to, but that's it. And so this service, what we're doing right now, is so critical because our desire is to create a church that unchurched people want to come to and bring their neighbors. We consider it a win If an unchurched person comes here and they like it so much, they come back. That's a win for us. And if they bring somebody with them, by the way, unchurched people that like it bring more people than church people ever do. Because they're like, dude, I found something. You got to come with me next week. I'm not going to church. Just come one time. That's a win. That's what we celebrate because we know they're on a journey and eventually Jesus is going to get a hold of their life and they're going to become transformed and mobilized by Jesus. And there's the mission and they're going to do that to other people. So here's what I want to do tonight. I'm going to do as fast as I can. This is a 6-week seminary class that I'm going to give you in 30 minutes, okay? Maybe 25. Nah, that'll never happen. By the way, we shoot for 70 minutes, but when I speak, it's more like 74. Okay, here we go. Here's what I'm going to do. I want to give you a 4-step template of what we try to accomplish in a weekend service. Why? Because we're shooting for the one. So how do we do that? We've got to be very intentional about how we do it. Here's what it is. And I know you don't need to write this down. It's just an overview. It's sort of an insider talk. And again, if you're new here tonight, it's for everybody to understand this. But this is our goal. And I'm not saying we do it perfectly or sometimes even great, but we try to do this every service. And by the way, what I'm going to explain to you, I think every small group leader tries to do every small group. I think I try to do every sermon. I try to follow this template. Here's step 1 of the template. Meet people where they are. Meet people where they are. Here's the deal. We have a goal for you tonight. I know where I want to get you to a place of what I want you to believe tonight, but I'm not going to start there. I'm going to start right where you are to get you there. Why? Because if I start here, it makes no sense. I got to start where you are. So where are people when they come here? Well, there's all kinds of things going on in your life and my life when you drive in here. And by the way, to meet people where they are doesn't start in the auditorium. It starts out there. And how they get parked and how they check in their kids. And how they feel when they walk in the lobby, and how our ushers treat them, and how the people stand at the door smile at them, and how they're greeted, and how their kids are doing right now in Breakaway and later tonight at Edge, or their kids are doing in Kensington Kids, all that, right? The message doesn't start when I get up to speak. The message actually starts out there. And by the way, you may know this, but researchers will tell you that people at churches will decide if they're coming back in the first 11 minutes. You've already decided tonight if you're coming back tomorrow or next week if you've been here 11 minutes. Guess what? It takes all the pressure off me. I thought it was about me. It has nothing to do with me. Of course, if you're not coming back, I'm going to convince you to change that. But that's what happens. It's so amazing that it starts out there. Now, what are you and I and people feeling as they come into church on Sunday morning or Sunday night? Here's what they're feeling. Some are hurt. Some are in pain. Some are going through a struggle that's epic. We sort of have a motto backstage, and the motto goes like this: never underestimate the pain in the room. There's pain right now in this room that most people will never see, but you know it, and you're feeling it. Some of you, you're feeling it right now. So you drive into this church parking lot, and I know, because there's pain in your life, you have a little anger. You're like, I can't even park. I had to wait in line to get in a church parking lot. By the way, that's a really good problem. It really is, but I get it. And so we're doing our best to get you in here. But as you walk in here, I wrote in my notes this week, I thought, what are people feeling? Their marriage could be in trouble. They may be concerned about their kids. They may be doubting God's goodness. They may be questioning God's existence. They may have just experienced an amazing victory or joy. They don't know what to do with their job. They're anxious about the future. There's uncertainty about their parents' health and their future. And you know how I wrote that in like 2 minutes? Those are all the things I've struggled with this very week, myself. And I said, so people are coming in with these kind of emotions right now, every service. We know people are walking in with hurt, doubt, joy, pain, confusion, questions, hope, feeling stuck, feeling judged. Some are elated, some are excited. So how do we meet people right where they are? Well, we got to tap into that emotion early in the service, early in the day. And here's where we get our model. Jesus, he's the master teacher. It's unbelievable how he was so gifted at tapping into what people were feeling to take them on a journey. If you were here last week, you know that one of the core passages that we built Kensington around is in Luke 15. Do you remember? It's the 3 stories that Jesus told. I told one of them last week, the lost sheep, the lost coin, and the lost son. All right, you didn't know that one. But anyway, there's 3 of them there. I'm not going to read them all. But I read one of them last week talking about, the guy who go after the lost sheep. Here's what I'm going to show you tonight that we didn't talk about last week. Watch what Jesus does to meet people where they are. Because when he starts to tell these 3 stories in Luke 15, here's what's going on. He's got religious church people and leaders in the audience, and he's got tax collectors and sinners. Clean dirt, all in the same audience. A diverse audience. Let me ask you something. Do we have that here? Yes, we do. Just look around. They're all dirty around you, and you're clean. So here we are. That's in this audience, diversity, right? So where do you start? We start with where you are. What does Jesus do? Well, he knows where he wants to take them. He wants them to get a whole new view of what God's like. But he doesn't start with God. He starts with them. Watch this. This is so wonderful what he does. So insightful. He says, then Jesus told them this parable. Suppose one of you has 100 sheep and loses one of them. Now, what's going on in the room? They're going, yeah, I know about that. Yeah, that's a common thing. You lose something that's really valuable. Suppose that happens. So he's tapped everybody and put them on what? Common ground. And then he says, doesn't he leave the 99 in the open country and go after the lost sheep until he finds it? And they're all shaking their head, nodding their head, and going, yep, that's exactly what he would do, man. If you lose something valuable, like a sheep to a shepherd, of course he would do that. Some of you heard me last Sunday night if you came. What happened to me last Sunday? When I was driving down to Ford Field, I lost my Ford Field credential. It flew out of the saddlebags of my motorcycle on the way to the game. I cannot get into Ford Field last week without that credential. Do you think I went crazy looking for it? Yeah. I went through my saddlebags one time, put everything back. Went through them 3 times. I went through them 5 times. It's got to be in here. There's no way I can't get in the stadium without this credential. I was feeling exactly what Jesus was saying right there. Man, when you lose something, you are panicked. And so everybody in that room was nodding their heads going, yep, I know exactly what that feels like. So they're all like, where's this going? And look what Jesus does. Jesus says, and when he finds it, he joyfully puts it, talking about the sheep, on his shoulders and goes home. Then he calls his friends and neighbors together and says, rejoice with me, I have found my lost sheep. Now, what's going on in the room? Yep, they're all nodding. Now, he's got them where he wants them. And he says this, I tell you, in the same way, there will be more rejoicing in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous people who do not need to repent. Boom. See what he did? He took them on this journey where he started where they were, and they're all nodding their head. They're on common ground. And then he goes, this is the heart of God. And I guarantee in the room, some of them are going, wait. You're saying that God loves them as much as he loves me? I don't know if I'm going to believe that. But guess what? They're willing to consider it because he started with where they are. We try to do that imperfectly every small group, every mission trip. They're doing it right now with your kids. We try to do it every service in some way, some better than others. Last weekend you came Sunday night, you experienced a powerful night. Remember the video of 27 years of life change? We changed the service literally that morning. We started the service with that video, and we realized, oh my gosh, that video is so powerful, it needs to end the service. Why? Because it's giving the answer before we ask the question. So we rearranged the weekend. All you know is you came and, man, that worked. I told the 845 crowd today, but we changed it after they left. They're like, what? But we did because we're like, oh my gosh, we got to meet people where they are to start and then take them on a journey. Remember a few weeks ago, we were in a series called Circles, which was all about how you and I need people, community. We need to do life in circles, not in rows. You remember that whole concept? Do you remember the day you walked in and early in the service, Kelly was sitting up here, one of our actresses, sitting on a stool, and she stated a monologue. Anybody remember? The monologue basically had this theme, I feel all alone. Does anybody care? Does anyone see me? Anybody remember that? Yeah, the whole room, I think, and I was sitting there going, I felt that. I felt exactly that. Sometimes I think I'm feeling that right now. And she ends, and then the lights go down here, and the light came up here, and we had a Tori Kelly song. And a rapper came out, that thing right there, and he came out and sang a song by Tori Kelly and Lecrae. Anybody? Where the chorus was, just keep holding on, because I'm going to find you, I'm going to find you, I'm going to find you, yeah. That whole thing. Here's what happened every service. People were clapping by the end of that moment. Why? Because the whole room is like, please tell me that's true. Because I've been there, and I wonder, is it true that I can hold on and somebody will find us? And so now we're on a journey to say, okay, let's find out if it's true. So step 1, and again, there's no formula, but a template is sort of this: meet people where they are. Step 2, expose a struggle or expose a problem. What's that mean? That basically means let's deal with some struggle or problem that you and I all have, because we all struggle with different questions. Let's go there. Let's really go there. Let's not talk about it from the periphery. Let's go in there. We say in the early days, let's talk about the beast. What's the beast? The beast is the thing nobody ever talked about at church. The real struggles that are going on inside that you never really say out loud, but you want somebody to know, but you're too afraid to say it, especially at church. We said, not only are we going to say it, we're going to go there honestly and vulnerable, and we're going to talk about that beast in the room. And some people may get uncomfortable. We're going to be that honest. Ann was at a workout club yesterday. She's here tonight. And she told me that a woman came up to her and said, hey, I started going to your church. It was pretty interesting the first time I came. And Ann's like, why? She goes, well, the first time I came, I brought my 10-year-old daughter, and we sat in the back, and you and your husband were talking about sex. And she's like, oh my gosh, they're talking about sex. And then you really started talking about sex, and she's like, they're not just talking about sex. They're revealing their struggles and their victories in this area of your life. She's like, oh my gosh, I'm sitting with my 10-year-old, and I realize I'm going to have to talk to her about sex on the way home tonight. Or today, which, by the way, parents, is a really healthy thing, especially if you've got a 10-year-old, you better. And so we go there even to the point that it's uncomfortable. Why? Because we know you and the one deserves it. And so people walk in here, and I thought, here's the things we're going to talk about. We all doubt. Sometimes we all question God a lot. We give in to temptation. We lose our temper. We want to strangle our kids at times. Not me, of course, but you. We want to do the same thing to our wife or husband. We get mad at God. We get mad at our neighbors. We get mad at the dog. We get mad at the neighbor's dog. We really get mad at the neighbor's dog. We lose our temper and want help. We get discouraged. We lose hope. We lose joy. We don't know where to find happiness anymore. We feel lost. We feel confused. We just want relief. And here's what we decided day one, is that struggle and that problem isn't going to just be your problem, it's going to be our problem. In other words, the leaders and the preachers of this place are going to be as honest with their problems as you want to be with your problems. And it isn't going to be a church of sanitized fakeness that I grew up in. It's going to be a church of realness where the struggle and the problem is addressed vulnerable. And hopefully you're sitting out there when I struggle or share a struggle or a friend struggles, hopefully you're going, me too. Ann and I visited a church in Boulder, Colorado last year, and there was a big sign, and a guy had a T-shirt on. It said, me too, in all caps. And I said, dude, what's me too? He goes, oh, that's one of our values here. That's a value? What do you mean? We just hope that we could create community. When somebody struggles, somebody else will go, yeah, me too. It's okay. This is a safe place. See, here's what happens to your neighbor when you get them to come, right? If they came with you tonight, somebody told me today, they brought a neighbor today, and they said, you were so right. I didn't care what you said to me. All I cared is what you're saying to them. It's like, I know what you're praying. You're praying right now, God, please, one time make Wilson good. Because you care so much, they came, right? They're like, oh my gosh, you're hoping that they'll like it enough to come back, right? And so you're hoping that they can feel like I'm just like them and you and I are all the same, right? By the way, that is a value of ours, but here's the other step that we also want to make sure happens. Not only do we want to expose a struggle or a problem, but we also want to point to the solution. That's step 3. And it always sort of goes in this thing, meet people where they are. Identify and expose a problem that's a real struggle for everybody in the room. There's very few people who are going to sit there and go, no, I never struggled with this. Most people are like, yep, common. I mean, the next series after this one, guess what it's called? Love, Sex, and Dating. Let's see, do you think anybody struggle with love? Yep. Anybody struggle with sex? Yep. Anybody struggle with dating? Yep. Let's talk about it in a real way. But let's not just talk about it and say we struggle, but let's point to the solutions. Because here's what I hope happens. I honestly hope this, and I pray this. I pray that when I'm talking or anybody's talking, you in the audience are going, yep, he struggles just like me, but he's got a victory I don't know about yet. You bring your neighbor and they're like, man, this guy's just like me, but he's got something I want. I don't know what it is, but he's got struggle, but he's got victory. It's like the same thing. The church should be more like a bar. Seriously, you go to the bar and you share a struggle, everybody shares a struggle, and it's like you feel safe and secure there, but the church should be nothing like a bar, because at the bar, the guy sitting beside you is going to go, yeah, man, have another beer. I don't know what to tell you, dude. It didn't work out very good for me either. Just leave her. Here you go. That's what they tell you. They have no answer. When you come to church, I hope you go, oh my gosh, me too. But guess what I'm going to tell you? I'm going to tell you everything. I just tell you right now, when we point to the solution, every single small group, every single weekend service, I'm going to tell you right now, spoiler alert, close your ears if you don't want to know. But here's what I'm going to tell you. Every single service, every single sermon I ever preach, guess where I'm going to end? The solution every single time, and I'm not kidding, I'm not exaggerating either, every single time is Jesus, every time. And I'm not just saying that because we're in church. I believe that with everything I got. It's not a book or a calendar. It's Jesus. It's a person. There's no other way. I want to be John the Baptist. Do you know what his role was? He was to prepare the way for the Lord. He was the forerunner of Jesus. In fact, when Jesus showed up, what did John the Baptist say? He pointed, literally pointed. That's why I call this one point to the solution. He pointed at Jesus and said, behold, the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world. Don't follow me anymore. Go, follow him. That's what I want to do every single Sunday. Point you to Jesus. You come in here, whatever the problem is, whether it's fear or anxiety or your marriage or relationships or your kids or your health or your finances, I could list 50 things. Guess what I'm going to say every time? Jesus. And I don't mean that in a flippant way. I'm just going to say when you have a powerful, meaningful, intimate relationship with Jesus, I can't explain it, but I can explain it. He takes that struggle and he walks with you in it. I had a guy come up to me, I don't know, sometime last year, a young guy, college-age guy, and he goes, dude, I've been here 6 weeks. I got you all figured out. He's right over here. I go, what do you mean? He goes, I've been listening to you for 6 weeks in a row. You end the same place every single sermon. I go, where's that? He goes, every sermon, it doesn't matter what you're talking about. Every sermon you end up with Jesus. It's always Jesus. It's nothing else. It's always Jesus. And I go, guilty as charged. I mean, it's like, thank you. Oh my gosh. I'm like, if that's what you hear from me, yes, yes, yes. Why? Because here's the deal. We all struggle, but here's the answer. You have no hope. What's Jesus do? Gives you hope. You have no power. What's Jesus do? Give you power. You have no forgiveness. What's Jesus do? Forgive you. You want me to do this all day? You get it, right? It's like Jesus offers all that every single person. That's what we hope your neighbor finds. And it may not take place the first time he comes or even the sixth time he comes, but they keep coming and we meet them where they are and we expose the struggle that we all have. And then we keep pointing to Jesus in fresh and new ways and say, here's how Jesus makes a difference. Here's how Jesus makes a difference. Here's what Jesus does. Someday they're going to be transformed and mobilized by God. And guess what? They're going to start bringing their friends and say, you got to meet the person I met. And it's not Kensington Church. It's Jesus. It's absolutely the most powerful relationship you'll ever have in your life. And just got to tell you, you know this. Every single weekend service, that's where we're going. Is that okay? That's where we're going. And it isn't just for you and me. It's for your neighbor. Bring them, and we're going to try in the best way we can to explain Jesus. In fact, next week, leave a mark on the world. I literally are going to walk through the gospel point by point. You have a person that doesn't know Jesus, bring them. They will hear a clear presentation. This is how a person becomes a Christian, and this is your moment right here, right now. That's where I'm going next Sunday morning and Sunday night after the Lions win another game. Anyway, it's going to be awesome, and that's where we go. And so here's the deal. We meet people where they are. We expose the struggle. We point to the solution to that struggle, and then what? Here's the best way I could say it. We respond accordingly. What's that mean? I don't know if I chose the right words, but it's like, when you and I realize how majestic and how great and how holy and how beautiful and how loving and how grace-filled Jesus really is, when you maybe get your mind around it, maybe for the first time, or you're renewed and like, oh my gosh, I forgot. That's who he is. That's what he did for me. That's what he does for me. It hits you in such a way, you gotta respond. You just do. It's like, oh my gosh, that is powerful. And what I mean by that, it isn't like I get a little bit of grace. I get amazing grace. See, I think a lot of us come to church, and maybe even our neighbors come to church, and they sort of think this, well, I'm not the best guy or gal ever, but I'm definitely not as bad as that dude. I'm like maybe 70%, they're 99%. So I need a church to get me like 30% better. And here's what you realize. If you really pick up the word and say, okay, God, what are you saying to me? He says, you're not just a bad person I'm trying to make good. You've heard me say this many times. Jesus didn't come to make bad people good. He came to make dead people alive. And I don't think we really understand that. But here's the truth of our state, all of us, without Christ. We're dead in sin. You can try all you want to get out of that. You'll never get out of it, ever. You don't have the power to get victory over your sin. You may get it for a day or a week, but it'll always get you and take you down. Why? Because you're powerless. The Bible's very clear. Theologically, you and I are dead in sin. Without Christ, there's no hope, there's no future, there's no heaven, there's only hell. And so when we talk about grace, I don't think we understand. It isn't grace, it's amazing grace. The fact that God would look at me through Jesus, look at you through Jesus, and say, I offer you absolute and complete forgiveness for your sin. And what'd you do to earn it? Nothing. There's nothing you could do to earn it because you are stuck and dead in sin. But I went on the cross and took your place, and my blood washes that completely away. And not only do you come to me forgiven, I will give you the power to win over that sin you can't win over. That's what I do. That's who I am. That's why we always point to the solution of Jesus. He says, that's amazing grace. Grace, and when you understand that's the grace, what happens? You respond with what? I give my life. I give my life. I get on my knees and say, I surrender all. Oh my gosh, I don't deserve this. You mean this is all I have to do? Yeah, just surrender to me. I will give you life. I'll give you power. I'll give you joy. I'll give you a future. I'll give you my presence. I'll give you my peace. Anything you need, I give you. How? Surrender to that. That's radical grace. And the response, we call it worship. Worship means I'm going to bow down and give value to a person, that Jesus, and I give him my life. That's a response of worship. And that's a response that's appropriate to what we've just learned. You understand what I'm saying? We don't even start the day with that. We end the day with that because it's like, man, once we hear the truth of God and the love of God and the grace of God, it's like, I got to respond. And by the way, we're going to do a series starting this Wednesday on what worship is, but just know this. I'll set this series up for you. Every human being worships something every second of our lives. Every one of us worships every second of our lives. What's that mean? We ascribe value to something that we say, this person, this thing, this future will make me happy. And by the way, if you want to know what you worship, here's all you have to do. What is it that gives you joy? And if it was taken away, you can't live. That's your idol. That's your God. It's just the way we are. God created us to worship. The question is, are we worshiping the right thing? And there's no way I can explain this in 5 minutes that I have left. I don't even have that left. So we said, let's take 6 or 7 weeks at our midweek starting this Wednesday and say, let's talk about what worship looks like. Because it's more than just singing songs. It's how we live. But it does involve singing songs as well. In fact, it involves every part. Think about this. I said response appropriately. Here's the thing. Here's what I'm getting at. And I hope I don't offend you, but I'm going to be really honest here. If you and I are blown away by the grace of God, like we get it. It's not grace. It's amazing grace. The song is true. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. When we are captured by that truth, and it's just like, oh my gosh, this is the most amazing truth I've ever heard in my life. We don't just give him my life, we give him every part of our life. Think about this. God is the most important thing in my life. There's nothing more important. Okay, I'll throw a buck at him. Here you go, God. Psst. You don't think it's going to affect this? If he's the most important. And I'm not doing this to guilt or twist anybody's arm. But oh my gosh, it affects every cell of every part of my life. How I sing, what my posture is when I sing, how I pray, how I serve and love my neighbor, how I walk out of here and do justice and mercy and walk humbly with my God, Micah 5. It's everything. It's my life. It's how I play sports. It's how I preach. It's how I go to work, how I drive. I know I got really too close there, but it's everything. It's like, man, it's extravagant. If God has done that extravagant, radical grace for me, nothing is too extravagant for him. Now think about this. I'm going to take the offering right now. Why? Because it's a moment of worship. We think worship's like just singing songs. That's part of it. But giving as well. And by the way, don't give more money because I brought this up. Your giving will be in response to the proportion of what you believe is true about the one you worship. If he really is your life, then we give. And people say, 10%? Yeah, 10% beyond. It's like, duh. Of course, that's where I start. It's unbelievable. And by the way, let me say this. If you're a visitor here tonight, you're our guest. Don't give. Seriously, you can give if you want, but you don't have to. Go on the journey with us. Go to Starting Point tonight, out in the lobby. People have Starting Point shirts on and say, you want to start here? Here's where you start. Other people are giving, and many of them give online. Why? Because their giving is in proportion to what God's done in their life, and it's blessed this place to be the most amazing one of the churches I've ever encountered. And so let me close with this, because it's really an interesting thing, because you think about worship, or you think about responding and singing. Tomorrow night, at this time, actually an hour from now, I'll be at a worship concert at Little Caesars Arena. It's called Paul McCartney. And if you don't think that's a worship environment, You don't know what's going on there. Think about what's going to happen tomorrow night. One of my favorite all-time artists, probably in my life, is the Beatle, Paul McCartney, and I'm going to get to stand there. You talk about worship tomorrow night. Everybody will be worshiping. We don't think it is, but they are. Will hands be raised? Yep. Will people know every word? Yep. Will it be big and loud? Yeah, it'll be na, 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 na. We'll be high-fiving. We'll be running around, right? That's what's going to be happening tomorrow night. And sometimes worship's really quiet. Tomorrow night, I already know the encore, the first song is going to be Yesterday. All my troubles seem so far away. It'll be beautiful and tender. We're worshiping. Last Sunday, with 12 seconds left in the game, there was a worship moment at Ford Field. Right? Golden Tate scored. I was on the sideline. We thought we won. Matthew comes over and goes like this, right in front of me. It's like, we won. It took a while for them to, figure out we didn't win. But in that moment where we thought we won, I turned around and I looked in the stands from the sideline, and what did I see? I saw all-out worship. Seriously, there were people high-fiving each other. They're hugging people they'd never met before, chest bumping, singing, "Downward down the field," singing a worship song, right? And they were speaking in tongues. It was unbelievable. It was just this religious moment in Ford Field, and people think that's not worship. That was worship. What were they worshiping? Something on a field they consider really, really valuable. And many times it's spontaneous. Nobody came on the loudspeaker at Ford Field and said, "Hey guys, the Lions just scored. Everybody stand up and clap." It just comes out. Yesterday, I went to church in Lansing, Michigan. It's not called church. It's called Spartan football. I got tickets to watch Iowa play MSU, go white, go green, at the, Spartan Stadium. I'm not a big Sparty guy, but my buddy Rob Howland kicked for the Hawkeyes, and they gave him 2 tickets and said, "We want you on the sideline, give these to your buddy." So Cody and I went, and we sat in the Iowa Hawkeye section, so all the Iowa people around us. They're great, both teams, but I don't really care either way. They're just, I'm just there. But I watched what happened in that stadium, and it was responsive to what was happening on the field. Before the game started, they say, "Stand up, take your caps off." And they sang the Michigan State alma mater. I don't know the alma mater. You probably do. But I looked, and tens of thousands were singing this song like a worship moment. It meant a lot to them. And here's what I thought. I thought, if I ever convert to Spartyism or to Spartananity, okay, if I ever convert, honestly, here's what I thought. I better learn that song. That's a song of people that honor this tradition. There's songs and things they do when the team scores. I don't understand any of it. I just watch it, but I wanted to be a part of it. If I ever convert, I'm in. And so here's how we're going to end tonight. We're going to end with a responsive moment that we think is in proportion to what you've heard today. God is absolutely amazing. And I got to tell you something. When you invite your neighbor, just like me going to Spartan Stadium yesterday, your neighbor expects people that believe in an all-powerful God, they expect you to worship that God, even in their presence. It doesn't offend them. They expect it. I expected green and white people to be singing about their team yesterday. I wasn't offended by that. I was actually inspired by it. And so we're going to sing together. And if you brought a neighbor, here's what's going to happen. They may not know the songs or the words, but they expect people that believe he's that powerful to give him praise for being that powerful. I was sitting back there months ago. Dave Nelson was speaking on a weekend, and I wasn't doing anything in the service. And I sat back there. And at the end of the day, and Dave gave this unbelievable, powerful message about who God was. And I was so moved. And I'd been watching this couple sitting 4 or 5 rows in front of me. And we're not supposed to do this, but I know you do the same thing. You're watching them, right? And I don't know if they're married or just dating, but they were having problems. They were very cold to each other. There was like a wall between them. You could feel it. Nothing in the service affected them. They just sat there. And you could feel the ice. And then the service ended with Mish, one of our worship leaders, coming up here and singing Oceans. Remember that song? It was like an anthem of a generation for a while. And I will, what are the words? Come on, somebody. Yeah, I will call upon your name. Keep my eyes above the waves when oceans roar. Something in your embrace. And here's the last line. Because I am yours and you are mine. I'm sitting back there watching this moment. They were standing, not singing. They were just standing there. And when Mish sang it, I am yours and you are mine, I watched the guy go like this to his girl. And I thought, isn't it interesting what just happened? Nothing touched their soul the whole morning but that musical response. It was the truth of those words. I knew, I'm guessing, he was thinking, am I yours? Are you mine? Is there a God that can keep us together? And if I would have said that, or Dave would have said that, probably wouldn't have moved him. But said in a lyric to a song with beauty, penetrated to the soul. There's something that's so beautiful that God gave us music, sometimes really loud, and sometimes really soft and tender, all that. And people, it penetrates in there. The Holy Spirit of God uses it to go. Even people don't know the lyrics. They're like, I'm in the community of people that believe this with all their heart, and I don't believe it yet, but I'm coming back because they have something I want, and I can feel it in the room. And so the first song we're going to do is, you've never heard it. We're going to do it again Wednesday night, and you'll know it better by Wednesday night. You've never heard it. When I first heard this, I thought this is one of the best lyric songs I've ever heard about the glory and the majesty and the gospel of God. Just listen to it. You don't need to sing a word. Listen to it. Let it wash over you. And then we're going to invite you to sing with us as well. And here's what I do. Some of you sing. Raise your hands. Be extravagant. Who cares what anybody thinks? Like the woman breaking the alabaster jar at Jesus' feet. She didn't care what anybody thought. This man is the answer. I'm giving him everything. My whole life, even my future. It's all that. She didn't care what anybody thought. And others of you are more thinkers. And you're like, I don't know the words. Pray. There'll be times in the song where there are no lyrics. Pray. Cry out to God. Say, God, would you meet me right here? He will. God, touch me right here. He will. Whether you're singing or not singing, pray. And some of you are struggling. We're going to talk about this in the series. And sometimes you sing in obedience. You don't feel it, but you're like, God, I got to sing these out because I want to believe this. I'm going to say it and hope that my soul follows my lips. So God, I pray right now that we would respond in a powerful, moving way to who you are and what you've done. And God, even in this moment of response, even in this moment of worship, I pray someone tonight would come to Jesus right here, right now. They'd realize the God we're singing to is the answer to everything they've been looking for. And they're here tonight to meet him right now. Jesus, meet all of us as we respond to you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Start before the beginning of time. From no point of reference, you spoke to the dark and fleshed out the wonder of light. And as you speak, galaxies are born in the vapor of your breath. The planets fall. If the stars are made to worship, so will I can see your heart in everything you made. Burning star, signal fire of grace. If creation sings your praises, so will I. God of your promise, don't speak in vain, no syllable empty or void. so will I. So will I. The stars are made to worship, so will I. If the mountains bow to reverence, so will I. The oceans roar your greatness, so will I. For if everything exists to lift you high, so will I. If the wind was where you send it, so will I. If the rocks cry out in silence, so will I. If the sun of all your praise still falls shine, then we sing again, welcome be your God of salvation. You chased out my heart through all of my failure and pride. Under you created the light of the world, abandoned in darkness to die. And as you speak, 100 billion failures disappear. When you lost your life so I could find it here. If you left the grave behind you, so will I. I can see your heart in everything you've done. Every part designed in a work of art called. You gladly chose surrender, so will I. Can see your heart a billion different ways. Every precious one, Charlie died to save. If you gave your life to love them, so will I. Like you would again 100 billion times. What you measure could amount to your desire. You're the one that never leaves the one behind.
Can you feel it? Do you see it? It's moving, pushing relentlessly. A light racing through the darkness of space. It will not be overwhelmed. It's a rising tide, a gentle breeze, falling rain, a burning fire, a quiet place. When we rise, it rises. And when we speak, it resounds. It's the warmth of an embrace, the mercy of a smile, an extended hand. It's coming. It is love. You are love.
atmosphere is changing now. For the Spirit of the Lord is here. The evidence is all around that the Spirit of the Lord is here. Overflow in this place. Fill our hearts with your love. Your love surrounds us. You're the reason we came to encounter your love. Your love surrounds us. Come on, every voice, let's sing this together. The atmosphere is changing now for the Spirit of the Lord. For the Spirit of the Lord is here. The evidence is all around that the Spirit of the Lord is here. Overflow in this place. Fill our hearts with your love. Your love surrounds us. You're the reason we came to encounter your love. Your love surrounds us. Come on, every voice. Overflow in this place. Fill our hearts with your love. Your love surrounds us. You're the reason we came to encounter your love. Your love surrounds us. Spirit of God, fall fresh on us. We need your presence. Come on, every voice is singing. Your kingdom come, your will be done. Here as in heaven. Spirits of God, fall fresh on us. We need your presence. Your kingdom come, your will be done. Here as in Come on, let's sing this truth together. A miracle can happen now. For the Spirit of the Lord is here. The evidence is all around that the Spirit of the Lord is here. Sing it again, a miracle. A miracle can happen now. For the Spirit of the Lord is here. The evidence is all around that the Spirit of the Lord is here. Amen. We got one more for you. Come on. Woo. Come on, let's go crazy. Come on, every hand in this place, come on. Higher than the mountains
I tell you what, you got an extra song than everybody else today. We get one more bonus song for you. And I got to tell you what, it's a great way to end the night, to respond appropriately to the amazing love of God. I'm up here looking at you guys singing. It's a beautiful thing. So I know some of you are fighting through stuff right now. I'm looking over there, and that guy lost his wife. Died a few months ago, and he's out here praising God. Because it's probably the only strength you have right now, right? It's the only strength you have. It's that name. Jesus is the hope and answer and peace and power for all of us in this moment. And if you need to pray with somebody or talk to somebody, our prayer team loves to take your request to the throne of God, and they'll be right here at the front. And again, please join us Wednesday night. We're going to start a series. I think it's really an important series for our church to understand what we call the breath of God is what worship is. It's the breath of God. Cody said, let's call this series Exhale. So the series is called Exhale. We inhale and we exhale, because worship doesn't stop right now. It actually, we go to worship now. We go to worship and serve our neighbors and our co-workers tonight, tomorrow, right? That's where it is. Take this to the street and worship God everywhere you go. God bless you. See you Wednesday night. See you next weekend. Bye-bye.
Mm-hmm.